Welcome. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. The meeting of April 2nd, 2025 was included in the minutes and notice sent to the official newspaper of the Township Daily Record, the Star Ledger on January 8, 2025, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building on January 8, 2025, has remained continuously posted as is required. Notices under the statute, in addition, a copy of the notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk.
For the Township Code regarding rules of debate, the proceedings of the council shall be governed by Robert's Rules of Order. Please silence all cell phones. Proper notice having been given, the Township Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Okay, salute to the flag, please.
Great, we're doing a roll call first.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gurudo.
Here.
Mr. Schultz. Mrs. Whitmore. Yes. Vice President Keilish.
Here.
President Berman.
Yeah.
Ms. Leo. Here. Okay, let the record reflect the following members of the administration are present. Mayor Eric Will Susan, Administrator Debbie Milliken, CFO Bill Egan is here somewhere, and Township Planner Jessica Paul.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have no special presentations. We will open the floor to the public, council, commission. Please state and spell your name. For the record, each speaker is limited to one comment, no more than 5 minutes, and no yielding of your time to a person. The floor is open.
Donna Vanderploeg, Vanderploeg. So my question is about the revaluation that we're supposed to be doing. I have documentation. On January 16th, Patricia Marsh from the who is the tax administrator from Morris County, sent a letter to Raymond Ty, who's our tax assessor, mayor and members of the governing body, and all other responsible officials of the Township of Jefferson. Did all of the council members get that letter? Since it was to all governing bodies. Did everybody get that?
It was a week or so later, I think everybody received a email letter, is that correct?
So anyway, basically it was telling us that,
Mr. Cash wanted to say something.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Can we just let people come up and state what they have to say?
And not ask you questions?
And then we'll go back.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
let them finish, and then we'll respond when we're
That's
done.
fine.
Is that,
Okay.
okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, so the Morris County Board of Taxation, basically said that, we needed to revise, correct, and equalize the assessed value of all property in the respective taxing district. Okay, so we received that on the 16th of January, and we were told that we had until September 30th, 2026 for this to be completed and be effective for the 2027 tax year. And they were going to give us 60 days from the date of the approved New Jersey State Division of Taxation. I'll move it to the next one. Okay, so, which is from the Acting Director of Merida R. Ciascato, New Jersey Division of Taxation. And she sent us, she signed it, she signed the letter from the County Taxation Board saying that she agreed, and she signed it on January 28th, which means that the 60-day clock started on January 28th, which means March 28th, our 60 days were up. But in the meantime, our attorney, Mr. Ryan, sent a letter to Patricia Marsh, and he asked if the municipal-wide revaluation he stated that it would be extremely costly. It would be an extremely costly undertaking for the township. And even with the township's ability to pursue an emergency appropriation as provided for by statute, the substantial cost for such an undertaking will represent a tremendous hardship on behalf of the taxpayers. And then we received a response from the County Board of Taxation on the next day, because that was February 19th, this is February 20th, and it states that the board has disinclined to grant that relief. So we did not get the extension as we were asked for. And what I find strange about it is we got the letter originally on January 16th, yet Mr. Ryan did not send a letter to the County Board of Taxation a month later, not until a month later, to ask for the extension. And we did nothing in between, because the actual date, actually March 19th, which was our last council meeting, Councilwoman Garudo asked the administration where we were with regards to the revaluation, and Ms. Milliken responded that the RFQs were being put together to be sent out. However, all in that time, there were things that still needed to be done and given to the County Board of Taxation, but apparently that wasn't being done, and that should have been done by our tax assessor. And then on March 31st, I need the last paper. March 31st, our tax assessor receives an email from the tax researcher, examiner, and investigator. As of this date, we are not in receipt of the proposed compliance plan as directed in your revaluation order. Your urgent reply is requested. So I'm just really confused, because we get notified on January 16th. We don't do anything at all. February 19th comes along. Our attorney sends a letter asking for an extension, saying that it's going to be very costly for us. And the last time that we were evaluated, we had a 3-year extension. So we would like that again. It gets denied. We get notified the very next day. All this time goes by. Nothing is done. None of the list of things that the tax assessor was supposed to provide to the county tax board, taxation board, was done. We start doing the RFQs, which really was not part of the beginning part of what they wanted. Like, they wanted pricing and plans and all that information. So basically, my real question is, are we taking the revaluation seriously? Because if we are, and in looking at tonight's agenda, I would think that we would not be purchasing items and services that can wait, since we must budget now for the revaluation. Don't make the mistake of seeking for an emergency appropriation, as it is illegal,
Excuse me.
because this revaluation.
We're 2 minutes over the time.
Oh, I am? Well, this revaluation was not an unforeseen
Okay, I have
item.
go 2 minutes over the time.
Thank you.
We are going to have a discussion on this. It's on the agenda for later in the meeting,
Good,
so hopefully.
then that will answer my questions,
Be addressed, yeah.
hopefully.
Okay?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. I didn't hear the buzzer, I'm sorry.
I didn't pause, I feel like.
Because you would have heard. the
No,
buzzer.
you usually have a little ding.
Well, I've been using a different timer, so I feel like the buzzing's a little.
Oh, no, the ding is helpful. Keep the
Okay.
ding.
Kind of like that.
It's actually nicer than the Board of Ed, so use the name.
Okay, the floor is open.
Discussion.
And Augustine, I just wanted to ask a procedural question. The protocol, when the ordinances are introduced, does the public have a chance to ask a question on individual ordinances as they come up?
I'll just say that from state statute, they have to be advertised, and then there's an open public session for every single ordinance for anybody in the public. When it's being introduced, obviously, you can ask a question during the public portion time, but the next meeting, they'll all be individually voted on, and there'll be an open public portion for every single one of the ordinances for anybody's questioning.
So there's no public entertaining of them today?
Not right now, no, because the public is just seeing it for the first time, so that's just the way the structure is set up. But I mean, we do have two public sessions, one now and then one at the end, you know. So it could be obviously discussed at either time, any one of those during the time frame.
You confused me. The entire meeting today, the public has no questioning aspect other than that last 5-minute thing?
You do it right now.
Yeah.
Do it right now.
So right now,
If during either one of the two public portions, you can address something. But the next meeting, every single one of these will be open for discussion, questions.
Individually,
Yeah.
as they come up? Because it's too much to take into two little 5-minute chunks to try to entertain all of this, so. And there's no time on the individual public one, and we
I would
don't
just
have to
say, if you
subtract
wanted-
from the
if you wanted
5-minute
extra
thing.
time during the next public portion, you could discuss something, and then you could come up again for one of the individual items if you wanted.
Could I like bank my minutes here?
It says you can't yield your time to another member, it doesn't say anything about yielding your time to yourself, but that's not the way it's been. But you could literally have 10 minutes, you could have.
It says you can't give them
you
to
could have
another
5
person, but
minutes
it
at the public,
doesn't say you can't
could
save
have 5
them.
minutes during the question time.
I think we've been generous with our time.
I
I
tried to
think
be.
we've had numerous people go over their 5-minute limit without interruption.
Well, I think in a country that should pride itself on free speech, that we shouldn't be,
We try to
slaves
accommodate.
to 5 minutes as if that's some magical
And I'll
time.
just say some public bodies only have like one public. 3 minutes.
I don't care, that doesn't make it any
Yeah,
better.
too.
All right, so I'll take to this next meeting then.
and feel free to email any questions you have.
What?
Email them too, if you want to email them,
me.
or call. The administration.
Instead
will
of,
answer
instead of
anything
wasting
you
your
have.
time, you could get all the answers before you come to the meeting.
Yeah,
I won't put a time limit on it.
Yeah.
I promise I won't put a time limit.
I'm saying, save your time and be ahead of the game and ask them the questions before you come. I didn't mean wasting
And if
your
you don't
time, I'm
answer,
trying
then come up
to
and get
help
us.
you. You're welcome.
Mike Kawati, Kahwaty. I'm sure she'll be tempted to use the buzzer on me. Anyway, I know you guys are gonna be probably voting on the issue with the sewers and the appropriation, how we're supposed to come up with the 25% of what the federal government's coming up with, which is already, it just hasn't been appropriated yet. So I know that we're required to give $250,000 because they gave $750,000, which makes a nice cool $1 million. As a real estate agent here in town, the value of your property is worth a lot more with septics versus not.
With sewers versus not.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Yeah, sewers versus septic, sorry. Sewers are, your property's worth a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, bottom line, and it's also much more desirable. As with septics, the issue that we have here in Jefferson, there's still some septics that are overflowing or having issues. We had Hurricane Floyd, we had things flowing into the lake we didn't want. We have an issue with the phosphorus and the HABs. Could be caused by other things other than fertilizer on the lawns. But the septic systems that we're looking for here in Jefferson was approved. We did My understanding was about 2 or 3 years ago, we agreed with the federal government. They got it into their federal budget for the 90 million. We were given the 750 with the agreement that we were going to come up with our percentage. And I would hope that in tonight's vote, that you all vote for moving forward with that, so that we can increase the sewers throughout the town. There's certain sections that have it, but not all. And I would hate to see that you would deny some of us that opportunity to increase our property values when others already have that venue available. I have plenty of points, but I think that you guys got the gist. It's basically, you know, I would hope that we're gonna move forward with the sewer system. We've been trying to do it for at least 5 years that I'm aware of, if not longer. We finally got some traction, and, you know, we are a very prominent town in Morris County. I don't know if you guys are as aware. I believe that you are. We get plenty of different political figures here. We have an agreement between one party and another party, and they actually came together to get us the sewers. As a matter of fact, there was Mickey Sherrill came and presented the check for the 750, which, once again, I know we don't do politics here. But I would hope that we see, that we vote for the sewers moving forward, as I think it is a true benefit to this town, and it's gonna take time to do. And it would be unfair to some of the residents that don't have the sewers, when some of the town does.
Hold on, can I put this something?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna name somebody in this building Chicken Little, because I asked at the one meeting and you were shocked that I didn't know about the $90 million. So I asked the mayor for proof, because I'm that Jersey girl that wants proof, because I don't believe politicians, I don't care what column you're in, and I don't think a lot of people do. So the mayor was nice, and he sent me a bunch of Facebook his posts about everything. I saw the picture of the check, but one of the articles was from 2019, and I sent it back to him saying that I think she said that we got like $20.5 million, but they were working diligently on it. So I answered him back, and there was a couple people on the email saying, I would know if it's from 2019, I wanted something recent. And then I had a beautiful conversation with Debbie, found out a whole bunch of other stuff that I never heard of before, because I'm not on the land use board, and it started after 2019. My kids were smaller. I was busy. I wasn't paying attention to the sewers.
Just so you're aware, I didn't learn this from the land use board.
I am not anti-sewer. I wish we could have sewers everywhere.
Oh, great, they did
And
vote
then
yes.
Debbie was nice enough to send me the actual document that I asked for. And if I got this 2 weeks ago, I'm sure that all of this would be a non-issue. I received it today.
Okay,
So I got my proof.
okay.
That's all I'm saying. I know there's rumors swirling, because that's how life goes. So I want to make sure that, you know.
I know nothing about any rumors, I just know what you guys are gonna vote on, so I wanna make sure that as a real estate agent, you understood the value of sewers versus septics in
Oh,
our town.
absolutely. I
Okay.
got you. I was a realtor.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Okay.
Tim Finnegan, you know how to spell my name, no, it's F-I-N-N-E-G-A-N. Just quickly, I was gonna touch too on what Michael was saying, you guys know that I, help run a lot of the things for economic development, and our people over there by the lake, when that happened, the algae bloom, that killed us. Then we had the bridge, that killed us. Now we have Route 80, it's killing the people over there now. This is the one thing we can do to help those businesses out. And we all work together on it, and, Mikey Sherrill did come, and, I was on council then, Mr. Birmingham was there, and we got to move toward this one goal. So I'm hoping that, confusion or not, that, we move forward with this, that we do what we can do. I get it, it's not a given. But there's nothing in life that's a given, right? And if we don't put a little out there, if we put nothing out there, we're gonna get nothing back. So, I wanna also thank every single one of the council people for coming out to our EDC and chamber stuff lately. Some more than others, they have more time, but, our business community is growing, is working. Since our last meeting, we have some people interested in the liquor licenses in town, which is a wonderful thing. So I just wanna say thank you so much for that, and, you know, please make sure that you think about that stuff with the sewers. You know, Jefferson Diner pays $200,000 a year to maintain what they have to do for their septic system right now. I don't know about any of you who've been down to the lake, and sometimes you come out from having dinner in those beautiful restaurants, but it doesn't smell so beautiful when you come outside, right? So this will alleviate that, it'll help that, and Mike's right, you know, it'll help with the real estate, I hope. But, you know, again, thank you so much for listening and your support of our economic development here in Jefferson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Right, William Felegi, F-E-L-E-G-I. Kind of just piggybacking off what everyone else has been saying about the sewers. Just want to definitely kind of voice my support that this water system, the study, the proposal, and the money getting from the feds and what we have to contribute is voted yes. Reason being, the way it's $750,000 the feds put in, and then $250 that we put in. Seems like a pretty good rate of return. I understand that the money's scared. You know, we're scared to kind of put the money out there. I know that with the ratables, but at the same time, being on the EDC, one of the common goals, or actually one of the, not common, but the first goal we started pushing for when we started talking to all the businesses, like, what do you need to succeed? What do you really want? And the common response was sewers, right? And that was from day one. Or when did we start meeting? Like 2019, 2018, roughly? Right after the half. Right, so it's definitely right around there where we're just, that was the response from most of the businesses who were attending the meeting. So we really pushed hard on whether state or federal connections to try to get sewers to Jefferson. And, you know, politics maybe, I understand, Barbie said a minute ago, you know, politics say a whole bunch of things. I get it, I completely understand. But I think in this situation, it's definitely worth putting the money into if it means that we can get the $90 million from the feds, so that way we can actually put sewers in. In the end, everyone's going to do, you know, their own vote. I just ask if you're going to vote no for whatever reason, backup plan. You know, I guess what will be the backup plan if we vote no? Because this is something that businesses have been asking for, that we've been pushing on our end, and I just want to know what the plan is, will be moving forward. So thank you.
You might be, Willie, you might be like preaching to the choir, I'm not quite sure, but you might be.
A little bit.
Sorry.
Come on, Bryce.
I just left the lacrosse game in Madison and made it up here in like 40 minutes. So I think I'm talking about the subject everybody else is talking about, that we need to do this Russ Felter, 6 Inlet Drive, Lake Apacon, sorry. You know, everybody should remember, 20-some years ago, we did a study, and it was gonna be $60 or $65 million to do sewers. And we were ready to go, we wanted to do it. Back then, we were gonna have to borrow the money from the federal government, $65 million. The problem was they wouldn't lend it to us because we had too many people in the census tract that they were afraid we're not gonna be able to pay the money back. So now you're looking at a chance to spend $225,000 or $250 to get 90 million. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I know the mayor has, and other people. This has been what everybody has wanted. This is a chance for this council, this administration, to do something that every council and administration has wanted to do before you, and that's the sewer Lake Apacon. For economic, environmental reasons, I mean, one of the big push the town's having is for ecotourism. If we don't do this, I mean, it's really, we're not gonna be able to revisit it. It's really important for the lake, for the businesses. We're in the Highlands. We're limited in our development. If we can do a little more development because we have sewers on Route 15, or that's what we need to do. So I hope you consider that, and it's really important. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Russ.
Floor is open.
Good evening. My name is David Pisano, 43 South Lakeside Avenue, Lake Apacon. I actually came here because I had something on the ordinance tonight, and I just wanted to make sure it went through okay. I had no idea that there was talk about septics and funding from the federal government, but I can say I echo everything everybody has already said here. Now, I'm not a greedy person. Our street needs it as bad as anybody else, but for me, it's more about the lake. So as long as it gets done somewhere to help the lake out, I'm a supporter. Again, my street or not, it's not about that. To me, it's about something bigger than me, something bigger than my street. You know, I could tell you quite frankly, I don't particularly like to have my kids in the water. They come out with rashes. So again, this isn't about me, it's about something bigger, the town, the lake, and everything that the folks before me said. So thank you very much, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the floor is open. Still some people that haven't said anything.
Yeah, there's one person.
John Campus, 24 Robin Drive. I just, I'm listening to the people talking. Someone told me there was a big meeting on taxes today, so I came here, and it's like hardly any people here, but everyone's irate about increased taxes, so it kind of surprises me. I don't have all the details of the taxes, and I spoke to my buddy here, Josh, a little bit about it prior to the call. Spoke to my handsome mayor over here. And I don't understand the ins and outs of it, but just this is what is going through my mind. I think this is what's going through a lot of people's minds, is probably experience from running businesses and so forth. I had a 34-year career working for a major corporation. I used to get a budget. They would come to me and they would say, listen, this is all we got. This is all we got. You can't give a raise to everyone. You could maybe give a raise to your top performers. In fact, we got to cut 5 people. So you got to go through your roster of people, and you got to pick out the bottom 5 performers, and you've got to communicate to them that we're going to let them go because it's going to reduce the cost of running the business. That's what I went through. That's my experience. So I look at you folks, and you all look like you're well-meaning and got good hearts and trying to do the right thing. But I say to myself, you get the budget, and if the citizens don't want any more increases in taxes, then you should be given X budget. You should work with it, and you should say, hey, there's a freeze. We're not raising taxes for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And you put that in place. And if someone's got to lose their job, they lose their job. If you got a truck that can't be fixed, the truck can't be fixed. But for those 2 or 3 years, you adhere to that. And I don't understand why that can't be done. That's one thought I have. The other thought I have is the school. The school seems to get off scot-free. I don't know why that is. I don't know the politics of it. You all know it better than me. But there should be some kind of pressure put on the school and the people in that school to come to a meeting like this. And it should be addressed. And the same, as I suggested, for the town, should be applied to the school. Okay, maybe, you know what? Maybe if the kids want to play XYZ sport, you know what? Maybe the parents got to foot the bill. My kid wanted to play travel hockey. I had to pay $4,000 like 10 years ago. Did I want to do it? No. But Jefferson didn't have that level of a program. So my kid, wanted to play, and I said, okay, I'll pay for it. I think the same should be done in the schools. I'm sure there's a lot of fat in the schools. I won't go through the details. Probably have a lot of overhead in the administration, but they should be held accountable as well. I don't have the leverage, I'm an individual, but this town should bring those people into this meeting, and we should get more support from the citizens. There's nobody here, it's crazy.
It's actually a bigger turnout than usual, though.
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear that. I don't have, my old town, I was a little bit involved in politics. This town, kind of raising my kids, was a little busy trying to survive. But the whole point of the matter is, I think we can do better, and I don't understand why we can't do as I suggested. Any thoughts?
Well, thank you for taking the time to come out here and express your opinion. You have a couple minutes left, actually.
Good. I just wonder why we can't be tougher.
I do want to say that we are going to be starting. Years ago, of course, there was the newspaper, and there was outlet, and there were more people involved in sports and coaching. And nowadays, everybody's just so busy to get involved. You just kind of hope that the people that you put in office are doing what you're hoping that they did when you voted for them or didn't vote for them. But we are going to start. We're going to try to video the meetings on our own. Right now, they're being it just started with, I guess there's private individuals that are starting to do it. But, it's important that you're involved with the schools, whether you have kids there or not, because that's where the bulk of your tax money comes from, right, Josh? And we did have 6 budget meetings this year and cut a lot of stuff that was originally.
Good.
We were looking at the original budget that we got was looking for an increase of 8.4%. So, we cut it down to 3%. The healthcare costs in town are going through the roof the last couple of years. Not just double-digit increase, you're talking about 20%, 22%. And so we're looking at that.
And when you say healthcare, you're talking about with the school?
Healthcare with the municipal
Workers.
employee.
Oh, for the workers?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the full-time
Police.
employees.
Yeah,
Way up.
You know, I mean, so I had the same situation, right? So I was working for my company, all of a sudden we got called into a meeting, my manager said, you know what, now we gotta start paying more money for our healthcare. I don't know what all the answers are, I don't have all the ins and outs. But I'm liking what you folks do, how you run the government like a corporation. And if the corporation says you can only spend $1 billion or whatever, I don't even know what the budget is, let's say it's 100 million, that's all you could spend. And I think it would be a major move forward if Jefferson says enough of the BS, we're not raising taxes for 2 years. People would love it. Why can't we do that? I don't get it. And I know I don't have all the details. I'm sure it's very challenging, but we should do that. We should say there's a freeze. For 2 years, we're not raising taxes. We're gonna lose out on some things. We might have to cut some people. So be it. Make it happen. That's my thought.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and definitely we have our work cut out for us over the next, and this is my first term as councilman.
I see.
I've only been in the seat for a couple months now. Yeah, we have our work cut out for us, and, you know, but we have stuff that we have no control over that are, you know, that we have to pay for, you know, employee raises, and like I said, we said health insurance and all that.
Totally get it.
I mean, at what point do you say, where do we sacrifice services? And the mayor says that all the time. And we're trying to, at least now, we're trying to come up with some creative ways to curtail some of the expenses. I know Debbie had a meeting last week regarding, you know, entertaining another health insurance option for our workers here that might help. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that yet, but at least it's being explored rather than having a 20% increase in your you know, premiums, that kind of thing.
Right,
So,
right. I guess my point is this, right?
Yeah.
So I know everyone wants a raise, and I understand it's challenging as heck out there, right?
well, they're
Inflation's-
under a union contract, they get a certain raise no matter what.
Who is that?
The you know, the workers.
So you're telling me the police department, what if it's all union?
Yep.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. So
Those are our challenges.
that's tough. See, because I didn't work for a union, so we made a mandate. You'd have your top performers, they'd be killing themselves. They get like maybe 2%. Everyone else got nothing.
You know, a little bit
And we're civil
inside
service,
what
so
we're
we
up
just can't hire and fire people at will. They're protected by.
But I will say, in the past 2 years, that, I know people are happy or sad or whatever with the cannabis, we're getting percentages with that. We just sold the liquor license, we got rid of the old liquor, ordinance, so now we sold a packaged good liquor license, we got $500,000 for that. So that's put into a fund to help us when we're trying to change up, Camp Jefferson, so that was not gonna go to the taxpayers, we're doing that in-house and
Right.
getting things together. So we're doing our best to try to bring more ratables in, because as you know, with the Highlands, and then hopefully now with this Route 15, we're gonna hopefully get the sewers there, so when you think about Route 15, you can't put anything there, because it's all septics. Right, so you can't put a laundromat there, you can't put certain things on Route 15 because we don't have the ability. Having these sewers on Route 15 is a game changer.
Great.
We are so stale over there, it's ridiculous, and there's
Agreed.
property there that can get developed. So hopefully this is gonna generate some stuff and we're gonna move forward. But, you know, again, with, like you're saying, hey, listen, I like you, we're self-employed and things, and so when I hear that we're buying this, buying that, but again, there's things that, for like they were saying, for 6 meetings, we were here for hours, and we're like, no, we send everything to them, and we're, you know, all of us, not happening. I mean, You know, there's things that, just because I'm still getting my bus chops about the zipper that I, for 6 years that I'm telling them no, and the
Good.
road widener, so,
Good.
you know, my husband's in construction, so there's things that we say no, and they can ask every year, and every year I'm gonna say no.
And I appreciate that. The one problem I'm sensing, right, is that if you're dealing with union labor, and you have a contract, that does tie your hands.
Correct.
So I didn't have that, so there goes my creative thought there. But, and I don't know everything, I haven't done line item, budget, line item, each line item.
I gave you
budget.
I gave you a pretty good overview when we talked.
Oh, it was wonderful.
There's a lot.
It was
Believe me,
special.
A lot of challenges.
Eric, it was special. But the whole thing is, I'm looking for, there's gotta be something we could do. And as far as I'm concerned, I would not raise taxes for 2 years. And I would let the chips fall where they may. That's what I would do.
Okay.
I didn't get elected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
The floor is still open wide for people to talk.
I'd say that's a reference.
Okay, so we'll close the public portion. We'll have another one at the end of the meeting. And we'll move on to first ordinance. All right. So we have ordinance 2502.
Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap. If adopted, this ordinance will take effect after publication and passage as provided by law. This is the public hearing.
Okay, we'll open, this one we will open the floor because we did introduce this at the previous meeting. So does anybody like to comment on ordinance 2502? Okay. Seeing no one, can we take a roll?
motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Mrs. Rudo? Yes. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Honeyport? Yes. Vice President Taylor?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes.
That ordinance passes.
Okay, next we'll move on to council and mayor discussion.
You want Justice at the table, want to do it, Mike?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Let's pull up a chair. No, we'll pull up a chair. Here, come.
Good evening.
We can't handle it.
Go ahead. Say your name and
I
title.
don't know if I'm loud enough, I'll just speak louder, but Jessica Paula, Township Planner. I'm here tonight to discuss Highlands Plan Performance. So we have been working with the Highlands Council over the last several months on various projects. We submitted an initial assessment draft to the council and the administration. And as you well know, the township is 88% preservation area. So what we've been doing with the administration and the mayor is exploring ways to try to maximize what we can do in the township. And part of that, we're looking at plan conformance as a way to create some Highland centers within the planning area, as well as looking at areas where we can do Highlands redevelopment within the preservation area. So we have been having conversations with the Highlands Council about how to try to open up more areas on Route 15 for development, how to work with them to increase the capacity of some areas, while also working with them to conform within the planning area can be beneficial on both sides. So there's a lot of grants that are available to work with water quality, to work on lake management, to provide for, we did an economic development plan with the Highlands and other planning and other types of efforts. So the initial assessment reviewed various planning documents along with the Highlands Regional Master Plan, and also identified some draft areas where centers might make sense, and also where some Highlands redevelopment areas might make sense. We submitted it to the Highlands Council, they reviewed it, they asked for a few the changes and for us to, continue to work on it. But we've also been, talking to them about Highlands plan conformance with respect to the affordable housing obligation, which I know is going to be a discussion later on in the meeting. And the affordable housing obligation is obviously a difficult thing to meet in the community because of the limited ability to develop. So working with the Highlands Council, that could potentially reduce the need for the obligation even further by doing what's called a vacant land adjustment under the Highlands Council, which allows you to reduce the amount of land that goes into what's called a vacant land adjustment. It allows you to reduce your actual obligation to a greater extent. So there are a couple different things that we think are benefits. And you have a resolution on tonight to basically say that you're interested in petitioning for plan conformance. And that would start the process. The Highlands Council would have a public hearing on the petition. And then following approval of the petition, the council would need to adopt an ordinance. Once that's done, the township would be considered conforming in the planning area. We would continue to work with the Highlands Council on center designation, on the Highlands redevelopment areas, and whatever other, topics are of interest with respect to other planning initiatives, lakes and water quality and all of those types of initiatives, stormwater management, can all be done over time with the Highlands. If we can do this before June 30th, we would, I think, get some benefits in terms of our affordable housing obligation and our housing plan that's due on June 30th. So that's sort of the background.
But that also includes not just Route 15, but parts of Berkshire Valley Road, correct?
Yes, so Highlands redevelopment areas and the preservation area, we looked at, Berkshire Valley Road and that area in Oak Ridge as well. Because I think as we've been discussing tonight, there are areas that, especially commercial areas, that would benefit from redevelopment, repositioning in the future. So even if it's all right today, in 10, 15 years, it's probably gonna need a refresh. And how are we going to do that within the constraints that are in the Highlands region? So it's kind of that forward thinking to how we can continue to work with them to try to improve some of the areas in the township. And we can explore working with them rather than trying to work against them. And I think it could be a benefit in the long run. The nice thing about it is if you decide at any time in the process, even after you've adopted the ordinance, even after we've taken grant money and done all kinds of work, you can decide at a later date if it's not working for the township or you feel like it's not a benefit, then you can withdraw in the planning area. You don't have to stay conforming if you don't want to as a community. So there's always that option to remove the township from that conformance. So I think that's a nice backdrop to know that you can try to work with them, you can submit, we can move these things forward, but you can always decide at a later date if you want to, if this isn't working, or if something happens that you think it's not benefiting the township, you can change your mind later. So it's not, a done deal if you decide to go forward with this, there's always the opportunity to reevaluate at a later date. But right now, with the various benefits that we're seeing, I think that it would be a good thing for the township to move forward on.
That word reevaluate could be a nasty word, reevaluation thing.
Yeah,
but,
no, that's a different.
Anybody have any comments or questions or? I do just real quick then. With regard to, I know you were instrumental in helping put together the COA, the fourth round, right, for our affordable housing?
Sure.
Third round, the fourth round,
Third
we're supposed to settle in
and
third round, not working on the fourth round.
Yeah.
I thought the plan looked really good, but given the fact that we're in the Highlands, I was thinking that the state should just kind of like say, you guys can't do anything anyway, you need a breather, right? But reading your plan, and I saw in the paper a couple weeks ago that the Builders Association was suing a bunch of towns in Morris County, not Morris County, some in Morris County, but in the state, I was like, it can't be Jefferson, so I just kind of like looked through it real quick. Then all of a sudden I saw we were there, and I was like, you had put in your plan that we have like 5.5 acres of land that's not already developed that can be used for development, because the other 44 acres, square miles of land actually, are totally locked up in the Highlands. So I don't understand, I'm having a hard time comprehending how in the world they could think that they're gonna put 207 affordable houses, they wanted 366, how they're gonna put, now they settle up 200, how, if they're saying you can't do anything with building a development or anything, how could they be trying to say that they want 207 affordable housing units in 5 acres of land?
Bob
Is there any
also
rationale?
forget that they also counted in our islands on the lake as part of the
Yeah.
property that
Oh,
we
that's
developed.
very environmental,
Right,
that's
yeah.
very environmental, but septic's on islands
We
and
don't
lake,
have Californians to get to that, yeah.
That's
Yeah, so it defies logic, it does, but what I can say about going through the process with the Highlands Council is it would back up our assertion that a lot of this land is locked up. So we would have the Highlands Council behind us with that determination that a lot of the land is locked up. The issue is if you're not what's called, when they wrote the law, if you're not what's called fully conforming, which means you're not conforming in the planning area, you got a much higher number. So if we become fully conforming, that assists in that whole negotiation process.
The big thing is to try to get the Highlands to say, you guys have had your hands tied for 20 years. So there are certain areas that, when that map was drawn, there wasn't a whole lot of detail put into it. There wasn't an environmental impact study, but there kind of was, but it was real quick. There wasn't an economic impact study, which is supposed to take place. It was just rushed through, and it was basically like just drawing out, where do we wanna go, where don't we wanna go, where might a developer go, where don't they, and we got like, with a bunch of other towns, like West Milford and Kinnelon and Hardison, kind of like stuck in the middle of the whole thing.
Yeah, agreed, and I think that the Highlands Council has morphed over the years, and become much more, I would say, willing to work with communities and more flexible over time, and identifying that in order, really, I think for all of those regulations and their vision to be implemented over a long period of time, the communities have to survive that are within the Highlands. So we have to come to some agreements about how things can be done. So this is, one of those initiatives where we're trying to work with them to see, how can Jefferson be sustainable over time with the Highlands restrictions. So that I think that's exactly at the heart of what we're trying to do here.
This came out of my meetings with Senator Bucco, and we met with Ben Spinelli, who's the director of the Highlands, and Jess was there, and I forget the other gentleman from the Highlands, and Debbie, and to kind of put on our thinking caps, like what can we do? I call it smart growth areas, places that are already, commercial area like Route 15, like Berkshire Valley Road near the Acme and the other storefronts and things like that. Why can't we carve out pieces within, I don't wanna pave over Jefferson, I don't wanna, develop everything out, we can't. But there should be some room for us to be able to build where it makes sense, where we already have some commercial establishments. We're dying by 1,000 cuts with the preservation area. I mean, poor Mr. Campbell's back there's gonna have to move out of Jefferson if you don't lower our taxes.
Oh, please, I have no other place to go, and I'm not going back to the box.
But I'm trying to pull every string, anything I can grab at to try to get us some kind of relief. And Ben Williams, or Ben Spinelli, said this might be something that could help us, so. And Jess has a lot of experience in this area. She's a tremendous planner, has a lot of skill. Hopefully you've been reading the economic development, the sustainability plan that she put together. That is phenomenal. So I don't know if you want to mention that at all, how that might tie in with it as well, but we're trying everything we can. I mean,
as part of the economic development plan, we're looking at, ways to identify how we could create centers where there could be some smart growth areas. I mean, obviously, everyone who lives here loves Jefferson because of its beauty and because of the open spaces. But there has to be a balance, and you look at areas like Route 15, like, that's an obvious place where development should occur. And, you know, maybe sound a little bit on Woodport Road and Oak Ridge. You know, these are small areas, but to look at ways to position it so that you can have sewer and you can have a little bit more economic development. And that was set up in the Sustainable Economic Development Plan that we did with the Highlands, and this is really the next step to try to, you know, it's not gonna be easy, I'm not gonna lie, but to try to look at these areas, establish some potential to continue to try to do some economic development, even though we're within the Highlands region, and then also protect the areas that everybody loves, and improve water quality in the lakes, and, you know, promote ecotourism, promote people coming to the municipality, you know, for various reasons, and staying and hopefully spending their money at your, you know, wonderful businesses and growing those businesses as a result, and stabilizing taxes, you know, over time as a result as well.
Oh, no, you mentioned sewer, so they don't have a problem with like the, underneath, they only care about like they're not gonna have an issue with the sewers, correct? Cause it's not like a building, it's a helping the.
Right,
The
we
area?
talked to
I mean, right, that
about
makes
the sewers, and, you know, it is a balance, and I think they understand a lot of Lake Hopatcong does have sewer. So Jefferson is one of the few areas that doesn't around the lake, and I think they would support that because of the water quality issues there.
That's excellent news,
Yeah.
And don't forget, we can grow pot and all that.
That's
Right?
great.
Isn't that great? We have the Highlands, but we can grow marijuana.
Yes, we could.
But we can't
right?
build anything.
Isn't that one of the exemptions?
I mean, but that's okay with the Highlands.
Sure it is.
We should just go into business now. Make our money. That's what's just insanity
Make a
about
growth
all this,
facility
is that, you
somewhere.
can't
voted,
do
we
this,
could
you can't
sell
that,
it.
but you can grow marijuana on there, Melissa, okay, great.
That's why they put.
That's a plan.
Come on, Tom.
That's why they put high.
It's an exemption in the Highlands.
That's the extent of it, that's all, it's just incredible.
You can grow tomatoes, you can grow pot.
Farmland exemptions are pretty strong.
It's just incredible. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
I appreciate it.
Nice job with everything.
Yes, thank you.
And once, just a question too, that once this is all adopted and the Highlands, approves it, that can be public, we can post.
Yes, yes. We'll make that. I'm still going back and forth with them on a few changes, so once that's done, I'll give it to, Debbie and the mayor to post on, or, and Michelle to post online or what have you.
That big, are you talking about the big, thing?
No, this is the conformance plan.
Oh, the smaller
And once
one.
the
Yeah,
economics,
yeah.
sustainability is done, we'll post that.
Yeah, cause that's a great, resource
Yeah, that
for
one's
everybody
ready.
in the town.
You can
Is
post
it?
that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
nice,
you.
that's a nice, presentation.
Okay, segueing into the next, the Morris County Tax Board, I think we got the first comment gave us a really good background of the dates and times and process of how this started at the end of January.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
And so the reevaluation of township order from the tax board is moving along, but do you want to address a little bit of the comments that were made as far as the
Actually, what I will do is give you an update as per the request that was put on the agenda for tonight, and I'll address Mrs. Vanderpool's questions. On Tuesday, April 1st, Ray Ty did send an email out to the various members related to the request for information. And I'll state it for you on the record. Good afternoon. The current progress towards the Township of Jefferson's October 1st, 2026 2027 reval order for the Morris County CTV includes the following. Tax maps have been submitted to the state for review on 3/11/2025 along with the Township of Jefferson Mod 5 file. A quote for reevaluation firms to complete the reval process. we're looking at that. And the drafting of the RFP started on March 3rd, 2025, and we expect to have this finished by the middle of April, because we have to put a lot of specifics into it. So our plan is to try to get this advertised in the next 2 weeks, have it completed, and then have it out for about 3 weeks, bring the RFP sometime in the middle of May. Then we'll have an idea of what the cost is gonna be, and then hopefully in June would potentially introduce the emergency appropriation ordinance to cover the cost of the reval for the 5-year period, and then have the award for the contract for whoever the reval company is going to be for July, which will give them basically 1 year and 2 months to complete everything.
And for the record, contrary to what was posted on social media, we're not in jeopardy of any fines based on any of this. That's never come into the equation, so. We're on schedule and moving forward.
And then,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, and getting back to, you know, when Mr. Ryan, wrote the letter and did that, I thought he waited till we had a discussion here on the council
That's
of
correct.
what action we were gonna take to move forward.
Correct.
And he reacted right after we met.
Absolutely.
So I don't think there was any delay in that whole process at all. I think once we got a better understanding of what we had to do, then we asked him, everybody on the council voted, let's try to get some type of reprieve.
We received the letter after we received the letter, it was distributed to council.
So I just wanted to say that I support what Mr. Ryan did, that's all.
And just so you know, our tax maps are well kept. I have to credit Nanette Cataldo in our office, in the tax office. She does a lot to get those over to the tax, to the people that we utilize. I think it's Civil Solutions to do our tax maps. So because of that, they've been kept up to date, so we don't need a lot done.
My concern, like from the get-go, was the order came out of the sky blue. There was no warning, and we're at 82% of the actual evaluation of the property. So if a house is assessed at $1 million, can sell at $1 million, it can sell at about 820,000, say. But there are other towns that are under that amount, down in the mid to low 70s, and they're only being told, like, get your revaluation ready to go. I just don't know why this year, without any warning, it came out of the sky blue, and didn't allow even a year extension. But since Bill's here, I brought this up at a previous meeting, so I was just trying to get an idea, since we're gonna be the ones that are gonna have to decide the resolution and actually submit a resolution to the Department of Community Affairs to have the director approve it. It sounds like, it's something they're almost holding us in some type of contempt, it sounds that way anyway. But in the paragraph of I read this at a previous meeting, a couple of meetings ago, that as permitted, and I sent out, I think the clerk sent out what we're gonna have to do. I think she emailed out today the resolution. So it says, Mr. Egan Bill, says, as permitted under New Jersey State Statute 40A-4-46, local governments may make emergency appropriations after the adoption of an annual budget for purposes unforeseen at the time of the adoption. So it's not like they gave us this in July or something, you know? But then it says the total amount of an emergency appropriation shall be fully funded as a deferred charge in the succeeding fiscal year of the budget, except that the appropriation is to be funded through the authorization of bonds pursuant to, and it goes into. So, maybe Mr. Egan, I'm glad that you're here. So sometime after we get we know there's gonna be a big cost involved. So sometime after this cost comes back, we're gonna have to submit this emergency resolution and find a way to fund the entire amount, whatever it is, and spread it over a couple of years, I guess, right? Without paying any interest in it at all, or any other compounded fees or anything, right? I mean, without paying bond counsel. But it says specifically in here, authorization of bonds. So how's it gonna work?
I think you're looking at a wrong statutory citation. You're looking at emergency authorizations. This would fall under a special emergency, which is different. It's 40A, NJSA 40A-53, and the first part of that spells out that, you know, if you need, at any time during the year, you can do an ordinance for a special emergency, and then they list 9 items that are permissible. Item B is a revaluation. Also in there is a tax map update, which is, you know, sometimes, you know, part of the process. There is no approval at the state. You do not have to you have to send it to the state, but those provisions are automatically approved as special emergency.
We have to do an ordinance, a bond?
It's an ordinance. It's a two-step thing, but it's similar to a bond ordinance where it's 2/3 of the majority, not a simple majority. So then there are other special emergencies for unforeseen stuff like road reconstruction, sewer reconstruction, that you have to, you know, do the ordinance and send it to the state and ask them. With these ones that are outlined in the statutes, that there's automatic approval on it, because, you know, the revaluation process is a necessary evil all towns have to do, and they recognize that it's significant cost, so they allow you at any time during the year, it specifically says that in the language, to do a special emergency, and they have different funding mechanisms. Yes, you can borrow special emergency notes, you can finance it a few ways, but it says if you want to finance it through surplus, and we have sufficient surplus, then you make an appropriation of at least 1/5 until it's paid off. So typically 5 years, you're not paying any interest. It's in the back of the budget under a special emergency.
You were here the last time that we had to do this, and we set monies aside because we knew that there was a certain date that this was going to be done by. So that is usually the way you hopefully want to do it, right?
No, we do not do it that way.
We had 5 years to do it. It was 2001, we had 2006 that had to be completed.
Yeah, but we paid it off over 5 years in the provision I just talked about through the use of surplus, no interest, and just making a 1/5 appropriation every year for the total cost, for the total projected cost. It came in less.
So we could definitely work this out without bonding right now.
Correct.
And you said last time that if we don't do this, then we would be hitting the taxpayers for that full sum
Yeah, I
of
mean,
money over, in 1 year instead of over 5 years. That's why you
I
do
mean, if
something
you wanted
like
to
this.
fund it all in 1 year, that's your prerogative, but.
No, that doesn't.
Yeah, but,
No, then,
but the state allows you.
Right.
You know, to spread it out so that you don't.
Over
have
5 years, which gives.
a huge impact on the.
Exactly.
Tax.
Ideally, it would have been like the watershed, the tax, the Newark watershed tax appeal, where we didn't know the amount, but we knew there was a good chance based on other towns and what was happening. So we just set it aside in anticipation without knowing the amount. But now we'll just wait and do the resolution sometime shortly after we know the amount, I guess, right?
And we had never really set aside any money for the revow because we were doing up until, 3 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago, we were doing the reassessment, so we were keeping up on our own. We were being very proactive with it, but there was some litigation related to it so that unless we could no longer do it unless we were in a county that was authorized by state statute to have a pilot program for that type of reassessments.
Okay, so instead of an emergency resolution, this is a special emergency resolution.
Yes.
Could you send sometime out in the next couple of days or so, just so the council could look at what they're gonna be voting on down the road?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned too with the watershed coming off, that some of that money.
Yeah, we always look to try and see if we can, plan for certain things. So yes, unforeseen was the North tax appeal. At one point, we were all scot-free. I had, $500,000 sitting in reserves that I was like, oh good, we're not gonna need that for the North Tax Appeal, and then, you know, some of the logistics and court cases changed, but, you know, we did prevail initially on it, so I was like, oh, good, we set it aside, and now we don't need it. So that was a good problem, but, you know, it's, you know, something that we may visit going forward unless the reassessment options change to municipalities through the legislation at the state level.
Because I talked with the Morris County Tax Board today, and we have, it could be another one or two, because it's based on they could take it a little bit after the date if it was already mailed in advance for tax appeals. So this year we have, I don't know if you got notified yet, but we have 34 so far tax appeals. Last year there were 20, so there's quite a significant increase from that. Well, the due date was actually yesterday, but I mean it could okay it if it was already postmarked in the mail or whatever, right? So that's that hopefully doing the reevaluation can cut down on some of the outliers that are appealing these taxes and stuff like that, I guess. But thanks for sending the other resolution, then special emergency appropriation.
Just a quick question. Because with me being on the land use board, when they go into somebody's house and they have a 2-bedroom septic and this reevaluation people go in and they see they have 3 bedrooms there, how does that get addressed?
I don't think the appraisers would know. Septic is always based on the number of bedrooms.
Right.
Right? So the appraiser isn't gonna know what the septic has been built for.
But it's gonna come back to the town.
The way it gets caught in most cases is that the appraiser goes in, on the card, the property card, it says it's a 2-bedroom, they go in, it's a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
That gets flagged in assessment, and then that also goes over to building code and building and health for them to review. And then they might be required to do some septic upgrades if they added a bedroom and didn't declare it.
Because you know what property I'm talking about that we had on the land use board. Oh, I'll tell you later.
But that's how it generally would get caught. So,
yeah, I'm just curious how that, you know,
And that's
how
why
that works,
people-
because people, you know, we always say, you know, everybody's doing stuff on the weekends and nobody's paying attention and they're doing stuff in their own home. I mean, I would think that they, you know, like we all know that you don't have to let them in your house, right? So they're still gonna go by that, but we do know, you know, things get done. So I was just curious, I know a few of them, that, I'm curious how that works.
I'm sure there's quite a few.
Yeah, I know,
Sure,
so I'm
there's
like,
quite people have done things without
yeah,
permits or whatever.
just curious.
As far as the
Well, that's why they do a revaluation, is they go out and everything gets, you know, brought up to market value, all the things that may have been added that were never permitted get caught. You know, somebody added a deck on, if they added a shed, if they added something that was never declared in some way, unfortunately, they'd be assessed for it. I mean, that's how it works, so.
I'm just, whoever the company is that's lucky enough to get to do our evaluation process of our 6,000 or 8,000 tracks, I hope that people they realize that we can try to get at least 2 or so or 3 bidders out of the 6 that do this, and hopefully be able to get a price based on a comparison of somebody else's price also, you know. I hope. Do you have comments or anything?
Makes sense.
Have we received any bids yet?
No. We haven't gone out yet.
We
Oh, okay, got
Okay.
it.
We can go to those and bid too.
It's not, it's specific services,
Yeah.
professional services, so it's in.
I think there's only 6 that are certified in the state this time, maybe, hopefully that they realize what a great gem Jefferson is and all of them. So, okay. So next we'll go to administrative reports from the mayor and council.
Historic applications have been filed with the County Historic Preservation Trust Fund, at the county level for the Chamberlain House in Camp Jefferson, so we'll wait to hear what happens with that. Water main work continues on Algonquin and Lake Shawnee, with keep hitting rocks that we've been hammering away. I attended the chamber event last Thursday with the cybersecurity speaker. It was very interesting. This morning I attended a Zoom related to the kickoff for the engineer work related to the refurbishment of the peak swells. This is starting their design process and how we're gonna handle that. And then next Wednesday, I'll be presenting at the HAB Summit related to the process to begin the sewer project at Lake Pacom. And that's all I have.
As everybody knows, Route 80 is still shut down. What a nightmare. I truly feel for the commuters of everywhere, because it's just a disaster. We get regular updates with the DOT and our elected officials and surrounding towns, and we have one coming up tomorrow. As you know, last week they declared that they just could not. They were working on a temporary fix for both for mainly eastbound by pumping concrete into the ground to fill voids and to create some stable ground, but every time they moved, they found another sinkhole, they found another void, so they abandoned their plan for temporary, and they're going forward on the permanent, which is driving steel micropiles into the ground, hit bedrock, create a foundation, and build a concrete slab over top of it to go over the mine. So that's what they're working on now, and as we updated, 5 weeks for westbound, at least 2 lanes, and 7 weeks for eastbound, all lanes. So, you know, the businesses in the Wharton, Dover, Rockaway, all that area down there is suffering what we went through. You know, they're dying. Nobody's coming in, nobody's shopping, everybody's avoiding the area. If you want to go shopping at ShopRite.
My wife was there a couple days ago, she
Yeah.
said, on a Friday night, she stopped in, there were 3 registers open.
Wide open, yeah, get anything you want, so.
Crazy.
But, yeah, it's just a disaster for the area, no doubt. The police department held today a reunification plan meeting at the media center at the high school. It was in cooperation with the Morris County Prosecutor's Office, the Sheriff's Department, Board of Education, multiple other agencies, police, fire, EMS, teaching staff, school administration, and we're the first town in Morris County to get this far on what they call a reunification plan. And what it is that, God forbid, we have some type of major incident at one of our schools, school shooting, things of that nature. The plan would be to bus all the kids out of Jefferson and to bring them to County College of Morris, where they would be reunified with their family members. With counselors, there's a whole, setup as to what would happen should we have a tragedy of such. So today was a lot of planning went into this. Today was the meeting to discuss it. They're going to be doing an actual functional drill on this, where they're actually going to move people and services and equipment to actually put it in, to actually try it out, stage it. That's going to be coming up in the next few months. And but very proud of our police department and OEM for putting this all together, because it's a huge undertaking, and we got a lot of kudos from the county because we are the first town to actually get this far. No other town's even close. So kudos to them on putting that all together. I attended the ribbon cutting for the Christ Church food pantry, Food of Hope. Tremendous place. What a food pantry is a food pantry. I've never seen such a big area. I mean, it's thousands of square feet of food. They have $8 million in the bank to start it for the actual product. So I was proud to go down there for that with my wife, and Debbie came with me, and you're Debbie, right? I'm more confused with my wife. Spend more time with her, I think. But yeah, it's just amazing. So went to the Golden Age meeting with Debbie and Kathy. We went to talk to the seniors about all the benefits they have as far as taxes are concerned, and help them with their forms to file, and so that they always enjoy that. At the land use meeting, the last land use meeting, we had our 3rd cannabis retail store get approved. It'll be next to Liquor Factory. in Lake Pacon, so you can buy your weed and booze right next door.
I'm sorry,
It's rateable.
It's readable.
So there's gonna be like four within,
4 within that little
Quarter
area.
mile.
That's where can't tell them where they can go,
It'd
and
be like a human bond.
they find a location, and they work out a lease with
This could be a Grateful Dead concert.
There's a fourth one I understand is going in over by, where the health food store was, by the cleaners, by the post office. And that'll be the 4th license, and that'll be our last retail license. So, as Debbie mentioned, attended the chamber networking event. Dr. Brett always does a great job with that. Again, good speakers and stuff. We had a walkout here last Friday for Tyler Lamantia. Tyler, as you know, only started with us in 2019. In 2022, he was struck, he was in his patrol vehicle on Route 15 at an accident scene and was struck from behind while he was in his vehicle by a drunk driver. Tremendous damage to the vehicle. He had all kinds of surgeries and such, which made him permanently disabled. So sadly, he has to walk out. He got approved for a disability pension, and he has to walk out on Friday. So not the way he wanted to end his career, but we thank him for his service to our town and his sacrifice for sure. Had a meeting with Debbie and I had a meeting with the superintendents, assistant superintendent, and business administrator from the school system. Just to talk about common interests and common things that are going on between our two governments. And the last thing I have is we're going to be submitting shortly a trails grant from Morris County. As you know, we've been working on Compton Boble Road, and we did 1.5 miles through the trails donation we got. That's being run through the New York, New Jersey Trails Conference. This one's going to be a little trickier because the money, the donation, $1 million donation we got had to go into a nonprofit organization. And that's, if you remember, I know Barbie and Dan get a little caught up on this. That $1 million had to go into a nonprofit group so that we could spend the money down without going through the wonderful process of municipal government, prevailing wage, do it much cheaper privately than we can through public. So got money sitting in an account with New York, New Jersey Trails Conference. They were gonna pay for this, our portion of the grant. I believe that it's a 25 cash match in kind.
No, I thought they were paying for the engineer.
No, I know that, but I mean, it's a little funky because the Trails Conference cannot apply for the grant. We have to apply for the grant, but we're gonna use the money from the $1 million donation, so it's gonna be a wash to the township. It's just that we have to process the grant, so just keep that in mind when you see that. And we'll definitely talk more about that as we get, but I wanted to let you know that that's coming because it's the tune of about 230,000 we're doing, somewhere around there.
So the private organizations can't go with grant?
No.
I know they can for like open space, but
Yeah.
private trust or something, they can
This
apply.
grant has to go through a government organization.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's all I have.
Okay. So next we'll have council report, try to mix it up, you went first last time, right? This town, Schultz.
Yes, also attended the Chamber of Commerce CBC event held at Portofino's last week. Cybersecurity for business was the topic of discussion. I'll still get that app for you, Michelle. I forget what it was. It stores all your passwords. I still can't remember it, but I'll try to get that for you.
Check your password out.
But also threw myself into the Route 80 mess that we have. It is affecting our businesses. I didn't think it affected it as much, but I went to go get a haircut the other day, and normally I'm scrounging to get a slot in this guy's schedule, and he had a wide open calendar. So, you know, why, Pete? He goes, well, people are coming home, traveling 2.5 hours from work, and they don't want to stop. They just want to get home at that point. So some of the service industries are probably being impacted. I was grateful to see, like, went to one of the local restaurants over the weekend, and it was packed. It was the roasted breadfruit on 15.
I heard you were there.
It was that was Saturday night, and they had a full house, so I'm not sure how to define our Route 80 situation, but that does affect us. I threw myself into the traffic myself a couple times, taking Richard Mine Road. The trucks are not listening, by the way, they're still going Richard Mine Road, and then the people from Richard Mine Road getting off, they're trying to get over to the left, rather than letting us go for the right, who want to stay on 15 North, so, very much of a nightmare. It's, I can't wait till it's over. Let's put it that way. I can't wait till it's over. I mean, I'm not in it as much as everybody else is, but I need to feel that pain for myself. And that's regarding the sewers. I'm the only one on this council that lives on the lakeside, so I know how important the sewer project is to the people around Lake Pacon, perhaps Lake Shawnee as well. They want to move forward with it. You know, I had a little straw test and with my group that I had, and it was unanimous. They wanted to move forward with this project, and they don't want any. You know, they're willing to take a little bit of a risk for it. So that was just from the people that I was speaking with. So that's all I got.
So in 2009, Mayor Felter did our first resolution for Autism Awareness Day, and that was with myself and a family friend of ours. And since then, Jefferson has unbelievably changed the way we do things, whether it's in the school and in the town here. So we have an 18 to 21 program, and we have kids that work here, that come to the municipal building and work. We also have, my son included, works at the school, and he also works at AMC, Home Depot, and Briggs School, so he almost works more than some people I know. So, and they do an excellent job. So I want to thank the administration that we have an open relationship with the schools for that 18 to 21 program. My son turned 21 last week, and we have a huge generation coming up of on the spectrum. So between the school and our rec program, we have the Challenger League forever. We have the same dads who've been running it for years. So I'm really proud that we are open-minded and willing to do all these wonderful things for our kids in Jefferson. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing is for the administration. Can we have somebody please go between by Stony Brook Lane and down to St. Thomas Church, that whole commercial development, the strip there? That all goes back to Stony Brook Lane, and I know we've been having problems with Stony Brook Lane with the flooding, but can we check on those businesses or houses there, because the one property now has trucks, buses.
That's being addressed.
Oh, okay, because we look like
They
Shanty
just moved in
Town.
from Colorado. Used to be a
Okay.
former resident at Dad's house
Okay.
and brought all their stuff from Colorado.
Yeah.
Yes. Joe Mack caught them the next day.
Yeah, and then the one property that we approved for the land use board was not supposed to have, and I told Stephanie already, it was not supposed to have outside storage. They have not built the, I guess you're gonna call it a garage that he was supposed to have, and nothing was supposed to be stored outside, and he's got tractors and he's got all kinds of stuff outside in storage. Next to, remember where the dog lady wanted to go? Maybe everybody came to go with her down.
Oh.
Yeah, so, can we just check into that there? That's a main thoroughfare for Oak Ridge, and to see that look like, I don't know what, if we can get those addressed. And our wonderful friend on Edison Road, his trucks are back. We gotta nip him in the bud.
I saw
They're,
that.
I mean, I don't know if we have to change an ordinance or something, because we gotta up our tickets then. Cause he just, every 6 months, his stuff leaves and he just brings everything back. And again, he's one of the guys that, you know, they're washing down these dump trucks, and he's got a sewer right outside, he's got one of the catch basins right outside it that goes right to the lake. And it's gotta stop with them. Also to just a question, and I brought it up before, with the septic permits. So when the guys come in to get septic permits for residents, they get them in bulk, usually like 10 or 12 or what have you, right? So we need to start putting, and maybe we do it with us, that when they bring back, they have to bring back the 10 permits and tell us who's got their septic pumps, because we're wasting our town money mailing me a letter that I paid the septic guy to pump my thing, and now you're sending me a letter to say, hey, Melissa, did you pump your septic? I did pump my septic, that's why I paid the guy extra money. So when they're going and they're coming back, instead of giving him another bulk of 10 or 12, he should be handing us 10 and 12. Senators are done, Kayla should have, these guys are all done. Instead, then we're saving, I mean, we're up to almost $1 a letter,
Yeah.
right? And how many letters do we send out?
A lot.
A lot.
I got one and we were pumped too.
Right, so we got, that's just some little things here
Look at
that we need to start looking at. And now that we're kind of have everything, you know, scanned and stuff, that, you know, listen, I'll take $1 here and there for how many residents we have in town, right?
Sure.
So it's the little things like that, just if we can check on something to get that done. And then I wanted to thank Kathy from, and she's not here, of course, she's on the way, but Eric and Deb to go to the seniors to explain about the tax freeze and all the taxes. That stuff is really important. It's a lot of paperwork, and if we can help the seniors out any way we can, and the veterans too. That's another big one, to help assist with the taxes and understanding all that paperwork. I looked at it myself. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. It's ridiculous. So. Just that as well. And then, you know, I am proud to say that, you know, hopefully we're gonna pass everything with the sewers here, because as a lakefront owner and an avid lake person, and my kids work on the lake all summer, and to see that the money, and, you know, I'm talking to the business owners around on Route 15, you know, that's why we don't have a laundromat. That's why, you know, we have so many car places, is because you can't get, a sewer. So there's only a certain amount of bathrooms you can have on Route 15 if we wanna have businesses, right? So, to get the sewers, and, you know, Jimmy from the diner and stuff, that we all know the smell that they have there too. And these guys have top-notch septics that they say, that get pumped, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars for them. And this is just, you know, we got a donation of $2 million for trails, but $1 million for trails, but we're not gonna, you know, don't go by the lake, because, you know, and we're probably one of the main reasons that we have the algae bloom, because we own the most property around the lake, and the algae bloom is us. So, you know, as an avid swimmer, and my tomatoes grow great, but I'll give them up. I'll give them up to have a nice clean lake, so. But other than that, yeah, I'm just, you know, what we've been doing up here, that I've been here for, I don't even know, 6 years now, between, I know, the cannabis and the changing of the liquor license and things like this. These are the things that we're here for. It's for the town residents, and to make sure we're going in the right direction and moving forward, and businesses are gonna come here. And we're gonna be business friendly, so, and for the residents, so hopefully we can lower some taxes or freeze taxes. I'd love that too myself. So, that's it, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Guerrero.
I think we all went to the chamber meeting at Portofino's. Thank you. Well, you're away. And then, since I'm a junior women, we had a bunny brunch last week, and we had, I don't even know the head count, but it's absolutely adorable, and we teamed up with the Education Foundation, because as Junior Women's Club, we were trying to help them out tremendously, since they lost one of their major fundings a couple of years ago. I did not get the memo or the email for Pilar Care, that the ribbon cutting wasn't there, neither did Stephanie from the Assemblyman's office, but we went there, and they were just lovely. It's a beautiful house. It is so nice to see that it's, like, you think of a home and you think of something like a high school. It's so nice to have a home that's actually a home. Like, they're doing a great job. We met one of the residents that's gonna move in. The woman, Corey, was absolutely lovely. And we helped her out with a bunch of different programs in town. Stephanie was hooking her up with a bunch of different things. And I do have one question for the mayor. The police put out for, new police officers. Did we get any bites? Or
What
we
else
have
do
any
they
new?
put out?
I thought there was a little, I saw.
Oh, on their Facebook page. Yeah, it's just the
They're
advertising.
advertising?
Yeah, they're advertising that the civil service test is coming up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what that's.
We'll be free in the academy.
We have 3 in the academy, and I'm interviewing 1 next week.
You know, I'm just being selfish and hoping for a girl.
We
I
have
do,
two.
I
We have
do.
two.
Girl in the
And there's one girl in the
academy.
academy.
We gotta compete with Milford. If I do, girl.
We have one in the academy.
and one now.
Yeah.
First ever.
That'll be history maker. 2 women.
Well, I know that you need, I mean, I know like when you have security, you kind of obviously need females, if you have females, you get in trouble, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. And just to go back to one of
Loves
the
our
first
women.
meetings, I have a phone call into Kearney, because I was in there the other day, and they have, it looks like a very simple camera system that just goes up on the wall to record. So my friend that works there is trying to find out from his IT guy what's involved with it and how much money it costs, because he said that it really wasn't a big issue, that they just like updated theirs. So whenever I get the information, I will share. And that's it.
Thank you. Council Vice President Kalish.
Well, unfortunately, I was away, so I missed last meeting, I apologize. But it was some nice R&R. Anyway, I really, you know, I don't wanna reiterate everything you guys said. Totally support, you know, moving forward with the sewers and things like that, and overall, I think we are being very responsible as a council. You know, really, like Bob said, we spent 6 or 7 meetings. I mean, you know, seeing each other every week for 7 weeks was a long time to really go over the budgets and really try to do the right thing, so, and I think we did, and, you know, our ultimate goal is to keep the taxes as low as possible. I mean, that is our job, and, you know, the budget's our number one, priority as a council. We deal with a lot of other things, but the budget's number one, so I just wanna let the people know that we are responsible, and we do try to do the right thing, and we do analyze, and we talk, and we discuss, and we try to move forward in the best direction we can. So that's the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalish. Yeah, I also attended the chamber networking event that was at Portofino last week. It was a really good turnout, and I tell you, Brett and the Economic Development Board, Brett Hartman, the chamber is just doing a tremendous job of bringing in really good speakers that make a really good impact on the business owners. I think that Barbie and Dan and myself were there, and the mayor, and it was just really great to see the vibrance and that the people just coming out, and the speaker was fantastic, talking about cybersecurity, a lot of good questions, a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good feedback. And Portofino's is always a great restaurant. I didn't realize until like the end of a week and a half ago that the Board of Ed has their meetings videotaped. So I decided I'd just look at it for a little bit. I really haven't had a whole lot to do since our youngest has been out of school, just finishing up college now. But I happened to tune, not the whole thing, but I tuned into one part where the middle school vice principal Mrs. Wegman was talking, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was talking about the funding cuts with the board. I mean, you know it's bad because of what you hear and stuff, but just watch it and see it, the presentation. Talking about the middle school, talking about the roofs leaking, talking about the turnover in staff because of the pay. They're not paying people enough to keep people. Listening to some of the parents complain because they've had like 15 different special ed, all the different, all the different speech pathology and all the professionals that deal with the turnover is huge. There was flooding. If you watch the video, it's scary. The urinals, the toilets aren't working right. They have so many different projects they want to do, and they're like putting Band-Aids on it. And I was looking at, like, the state has cut a total of $11 million from the budget. And cumulative amount of, what is it there,
48 million.
48 now?
48 million.
48 million is cumulative. Now, obviously, if the enrollment comes down, they can cut their transportation and less teachers, but there's fixed costs involved, so they're getting rid of the fixed costs by closing another school and selling the building. But to listen to the middle school, what the middle school kids have to deal with, I just couldn't believe it. And the state constitution guarantees a thorough and efficient education for every student in New Jersey. And we gotta write a big check next week, most of us gotta pay taxes and everything. I don't mind sending money to Trenton and having it go somewhere where it can actually be put to use. But tens of millions of dollars are going into the inner cities, and they're not asking for any accountability with how that money's being spent. And they're taking $11 million out of Jefferson while our kids are suffering horribly, and the conditions that they're in are dilapidated. And I just can't understand, I can't comprehend the mixture of more money going somewhere without any accountability, money being taken from an area that was doing well, so much taken, like 68% of their funding, while they only lost like 35% of the students or so. Obviously, there's a mix there, but they're getting clobbered so bad. And I was thinking, if my kids are still going to the middle school there, I don't know, I can't imagine what some of these parents are thinking. It's horrific, and in my opinion, the state has totally dropped the ball on just affecting the kids in Jefferson. I'm sure there's other suburban districts that have the same issues and stuff. I just couldn't believe listening to her. I could not believe what I said I had to stop it. I couldn't listen as she was kept explaining to the board what was going on, the school board. Anyway, it's horrible. But so the good news, I think Mr. Schultz said, actually what's happening on, what I can see on Route 15 with the roasted breadbasket and other places, a lot of the traffic's coming from Sussex, and they don't want to get stuck on Route 80. So that basically, this is mayor about where they're stopping here, because they can get the services, they can do what they have to do, even the medical center, all the different things that they want to do, restaurants and everything, and then they can go back without hitting the traffic. So unfortunately, our businesses are benefiting from ShopRite being like a ghost town, and the other places down there in Wharton. Feel sorry for those people, really. And the last thing is with the sewer study, I can't believe that the talk of stewards can bring so many people to a meeting. But it's gonna take a lot more than $1 million, because obviously 90 million is wishful out there. But it's probably gonna require a lot of people talking to congressional subcommittees and making sure they can shore up this money. And a combination of, in my opinion, both parties. One party is very big on environmental, and that's a big thing with the lake. One party is big on infrastructure. That's a big thing with the sewers and the work that's to be done. Those two things together is a win-win for the state's involvement, the biggest lake in New Jersey. That's a tremendous, vibrant community in the summer. I really hope, I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but I really, really hope that $90 million comes through, and it's gonna take some continuing effort, not just the Army Corps of Engineers spending $1 million on, which is important on a study, to see how many people they can hook into the Musconetcong sewer plant in Mount Olive. I mean, it's a long reach, it's a lot of money, it's gonna take a lot of time, but at least it's on the drawing board, as far as what I can see. And the people are certainly behind it, the businesses. I got a couple of calls from businesses today too. And that would be my 3 cents. Thank you. All right, so next we're up to resolution 25-13. 102, 1
A resolution authorizing the payment of bills.
A motion?
Hold on.
Yeah, a motion in a second.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any comment or discussion, question?
No, I do that every time. Now, I do have a question. So one of the bills apparently came from me on 25-00700 from the first meeting. I'm still not understanding why, I'm not understanding if there was an issue at the first meeting with employment, because the bill's under employment and labor. If there was an employment one, why doesn't the employee part go under the labor attorney, since we paid him already? Why is it under the town line?
Because we did not know that there was a labor issue going to happen that night, so the town attorney, as our town attorney, was there to cover it and had to deal with the labor issue that was brought up that night at the rework.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. So if there's a problem that comes up at a meeting, only if it's employment does it go under?
Just that particular situation.
That particular situation was, nobody was aware that that was gonna come up. If we had known, we would have had the labor attorney present.
Correct.
So whenever we have an issue of personnel or something, the labor attorney gets involved.
Yeah, but as soon as it came up, we tabled it, and then the next meeting we had a private session, so why was it I mean, I just don't understand, like.
Because at that point, the town attorney was involved with it, so it didn't go to labor.
It happened here. That person wasn't Bryce. Tom Ryan was here and he had to handle the situation. Yeah, but I never even mentioned the person's name. I'm just not understanding the billing part, that's all. I mean, I just thought that something happens at a meeting, it's covered under the meeting part. So that's
With
just.
Tom Ryan here. So he had to handle it because it happened at this meeting, it didn't happen out
Yeah,
there.
but we stopped it, like, it was.
I know, but it didn't
It
didn't
matter. We stopped it at the meeting.
There was a big, you know, after that, we had to double check things, do things.
Well, that's why I
there was
would
a memo
assume
done
that
on
it would go
it,
to
so-
the other, like, to the other attorney. It doesn't work that way?
I mean, at
If
that
we
point.
know ahead of time,
Tom-
yes.
Yeah,
If I knew
but
ahead of time,
at
that
that
would be
point,
too.
Tom was involved with it, so Tom took it on, so.
Alright.
Especially particularly that it happened at a council meeting, he was here during it, so.
Just blows my mind that we have all these lawyers. I just don't know which category everybody falls under. Learning. Okay, that's it. That's my big question.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or anything? Thank you. Any motion?
Make a motion. Mrs. Guido?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Senator?
Yes.
Vice President Kalish?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes. Next resolution, 25-103.
Resolution of the Township of Jefferson, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to petition the Highlands Council for plan conformance in the planning area.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Any comments, questions, or anything? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gurudo?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Senator? Yes. Vice President Kalish?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes. 25-104.
Resolution authorizing a non-fair and open contract for truck and trailer parts with Dover Brake and Clutch Company.
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gurudo?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Senator?
Yes.
Vice President Kalish?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes. Resolution 25-105.
Resolution authorizing award of non-fair and open contract for cleaning services to Royalty Cleaning Services LLC.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gurudo?
I have to abstain, I know the owner.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Senator?
Yes.
Vice President Kalish?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes. Resolution 25-106.
Resolution authorizing change order number 1 and approving current estimate number 1, Affirmative Mechanical LLC for DPW flooring and kitchenette, contract number BLD 721P.
I'd like to point out it's decreasing.
Exactly, it's a
Thank you very
decrease.
much. I haven't
Came
seen
in
that in
under-
6 years. I know, I
under
put it
budget.
on now. That's a first.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Yeah, I just noticed something real quick here. Bill, looking at it's a decrease of 579.
Yes, 22.
The original contract awarded was a bid, and that was the money that was COVID money, right? That was the American Rescue Plan money, right?
Yes, I believe so.
40, so that, it had to be bid anyway, but it was over the 40-foot threshold. But I'm looking at 579.22, then I'm looking at 40,158.70. Shouldn't that be 44,158.70? Am I missing something?
I don't know, I didn't draw up this resolution.
So
I think
brought
that's,
it down 3,579, not 579.
I think it's just the current, that's the current estimate, right?
No, that's what they're paying.
Right, 'cause it's.
But it was 44,620.
And this is minus
Subtract
579.
579, that brings it down to 40,158.
But they.
So that's what they're authorizing to pay tonight for the work completed.
It's still 3,000.
There's probably gonna be, a subsequent payment.
And it'll say final.
Yeah, all right, but, I mean, it balances out exactly the three, all right, I'm just looking at the total on that we're paying. and the cut was $579 out of $44,620. All right. Is there- Roll call?
Mrs. Gurudo. Yes. Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Keilish.
Yes.
President Berman.
Yes. Next, resolution 25-107.
Resolution authorizing contracts with certain approved New Jersey State Cooperative Purchasing Contract Vendor for contracting units. I always say the name wrong, so I'll defer to the matter. It's the Ford of Wilmington.
See you.
Everybody says
See you.
it.
What?
Okay, is there a motion?
A motion.
Second?
See you.
Question, comment? Anybody want to say the name right?
No. I would like it, actually.
You get a discount?
Gio.
Yes.
Gio. No, I
Roll
couldn't.
call, please.
Mrs. Gurudo.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Keilish.
Yes.
President Berman.
Yes. Next, 25-108.
25-108, resolution authorizing the refund of payments of building department fees.
Question, comment? Yeah. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please. Yeah.
Mrs. Gurudo.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Keilish.
Yes.
President Berman.
Yes. And I just want to say something on that resolution. There are a lot of, we kind of changed the format at the last meeting where a lot of the stuff that used to be in the consent agenda, the non-fair and open, the contracts and everything, we're putting right into the regular body of the voting process on the agenda. But there are certain things, and that would be something that would, in my opinion, that would go into the consent agenda with a couple of other very routine things in the future to speak. But there weren't a whole lot, usually there's a whole lot of things in the consent agenda that are routine. There wasn't a whole lot that was regular routine. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Okay. Because the tax collectors. Okay. Next, we have, we're starting to go into the resolutions, we're going into the ordinances, right? Oh. Yeah, so we have the minutes for March 18th, 2025.
A motion?
Second, is there a second?
Okay, that was good.
Oh, but you were out.
Okay, I just have to make a comment on this. Unfortunately, I really got the minutes the late Monday, so we didn't have the weekend or the week to look over it. I had brought up at the last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion on one bill that Mrs. Gurudo had brought up.
Who's calling?
For the councilwoman Gurudo brought up, for a bill for, what was the company?
Oh, those Atlantic Communications.
Atlantic Communications. I think we had something like a 20-minute discussion back and forth. Very informative, and the clerk did a good job of capturing it. But I spoke with her yesterday, and she knows. And there was something that in that 20-minute dialogue which really helped me. It was a question that I asked of the attorney, Tom Ryan, just concerning the whole process that would help me in the future. And the question was that of the $231,000 that Mrs. Gurudo brought up, because it wasn't broken down by line items or labor or anything, it was just a total amount.
Well, it was broken down, but it wasn't like broken across.
What was the amount? How many amounts were put on these things? Total amounts?
It was a total.
Just one? So it was $231,000 total for the job, and she was asking for a breakdown of the labor and the individual items. I don't know, maybe the cost of when was it delivered, or what was the transportation, or whatever it was. But I had brought up to Mr. Ryan through lengthy dialogue that state contract, and therefore any one of the 30-odd distributors that was handled in Z-Tron would have charged the municipality the same price, which would be great if that is the case. And Mr. Ryan said yes, based on state contract, that $231,000 would be the price that any one of the other distributors that you would go to would charge the municipality. So I asked the clerk to put that into the minutes, and how many times do I ever ask for minutes to be changed? Ever before? No. But she refused to do that. The one reason that I want that in the minutes is because, now, I guess we're privately being videotaped now, but if it survives, or if it happens, great, but we don't do it ourselves. So, the only record that we really have is what's in the minutes. Because we don't, I mean, the audio is destroyed after how long period of time?
I think it's 80 days after the approval, I believe, it's something like that.
So the audio is destroyed, we don't video the meetings, so all we have is the minutes. So I wanted that, to be able to hopefully not have to refer back to it. But when Mr. Ryan said yes, every one of those 30 odd distributors would be charging us the same price. That to me answered all my questions. And I wanted it in minutes, so we want to put it in this set of minutes, or do we want to change the minutes and put that in the old minutes?
I'll defer to the attorney.
So, right now you have a first and a second for the meeting minutes as set forth.
I do.
So, that's what the motion is pending right now, it's up to the clerk's prerogative as to how she records the minutes of each meeting. So she's made that decision.
Okay.
If you want that changed.
But I mean, I told her this is the first time I ever actually, and I wanted that in black and white, I wanted that recorded, for hopefully not needing it, but being available, so it wouldn't be, I thought I said that, and I thought the attorney gave his opinion, but who knows, you know? But our code still says that a council member has the right to request any one of the five, something to be put into the minutes. So I requested it for my purpose, and for hopefully I don't need it, but in the future, if I needed it, it would be there. And the clerk said she wasn't gonna do it. And I gave her less than, I mean, I saw the minutes on Monday evening. They were delivered on Monday afternoon, and I called her office first thing on Tuesday. And I don't think it was that far of a stretch, so, I don't know. I would just make a motion that we table this, and she put my comment, and Mrs. Garudo had a comment about wanting to have the line items in the future. So she had brought that up also. So if we could have just those two things put in and then vote on it on the next set of minutes, we can destroy the audio and it doesn't have to be anywhere at that point. I'll make a motion that we just table this for now.
Why can't we just add it to the new meeting minutes and get these meeting minutes done? So then we don't have to go back again. Like, get them done. People complain that we don't have our meeting minutes in. I mean, this is a home run. We got them in for within a week. So is
Are
that
we
good?
okay with putting it in this?
That's what I was asking, the people that be okay.
Yeah, put it in this meeting.
Can we put it in this meeting's
Divide
minutes?
split.
Would you be okay with that, Bob? Make a motion to put it within this meeting.
Okay, we'll capture that,
This way, it's
we'll
in-
capture the conversation on the audio and that part of the dialogue from Mrs. Garudo's comment and my comment in the minutes for this meeting. This will be on the record.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
We
Okay,
can do that.
Yes.
that's good, that's good.
Okay, so we're
Okay,
ready.
motion and a second, can we take a roll call?
We can, Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalish.
Abstain.
President Birmingham.
I wasn't here.
Yes. Okay. So it's on to ordinance 2503.
Yes. Ordinance approving a grant of easement, septic easement between the Township of Jefferson and David Pisano and Jessica Gundella and Deborah Pisano and Anthony Pisano. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalish.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes.
Bye, Dave.
Thank you.
You got it. He's like,
You're lucky guy, get to go home.
So you guys still got the next again.
Yeah, right, let me come back next
don't
month.
tell him. We'll figure it out. There's two
It's not
sides.
official yet.
You'd be kind of silly to
He
reverse
knows
the
we
room.
talked through the process.
We'll see you next month.
Okay, next we have ordinance 2504.
Ordinance amending the code of the Township of Jefferson to revise chapter 142, alcoholic beverages, specifically section 142-1, alcoholic beverage license fee.
Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. Okay. Ordinance 2505.
Ordinance providing for various improvements to be undertaken by the Township of Jefferson and the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $326,986, therefore constituting proceeds of notes of the township heretofore issued, and from funds available under ordinances of the township heretofore adopted.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call, please.
Sorry.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. Ordinance 2506.
Ordinance providing for the improvement of the water supply and distribution system in and by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $74,500 therefore from the Water Capital Improvement Fund of the Township. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 2507.
Bond ordinance appropriating $725,000 and authorizing the issuance of $725,000 bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey, for the water supply and distribution system of the township. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. That was a big one. All right, next, 2508 ordinance.
Ordinance providing for the acquisition of a new pickup truck for use by the sewer utility in and by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $100,000 therefore from the Sewer Capital Improvement Fund of the Township. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. Ordinance 2509.
Bond ordinance appropriating $390,000 and authorizing the issuance of $390,000 bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey, for the sanitary sewage system of the township. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garuda.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalis.
Yes.
President Birmingham.
Yes. Next, we have the one that everybody's here for, I think. Well, not everybody. Okay. Ordinance 2510.
Ordinance providing for various improvements or purposes to be undertaken in and by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $1,800,431 therefore from various funds of the township. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
One second.
Comments? Roll call, please.
All I wanted to interrupt
Okay.
and just say that I hope this all works, because I have a business, and if I can get a septic, I would learn how to do a backflip, so, God bless and let it go.
How fast are we gonna get the road stuff out, Deb?
Listen, that you haven't done that
Oh,
one.
the next one, sorry,
The next one.
next one.
You want a sewer, right?
I would hope that sewers were in the future, that would be beautiful.
Ordinance twenty, roll call, yeah.
Mrs. Gurudo, yes. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Senator?
Yes.
Vice President Keilish?
Yes.
President Berman?
Yes. Ordinance 2511.
Bond ordinance appropriating $2,694,900 and authorizing the issuance of $2,560,155 bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Jefferson in the County of Morris, New Jersey. Following introduction, the above ordinance will be published in accordance with the law, and a public hearing will be held on April 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Comment? Yeah, I just said something real quick. I had a nice conversation with the CFO, Bill Egan, morning, and was assured that the way this is working out, we're paying off bonds and notes to offset this bond and note, well, it will be basically bond anticipation notes mostly, right?
Yes.
And what we're paying off now in outstanding bonds and notes that are coming due, we're paying down. We're actually going to be accruing slightly less debt with the negative and then this positive, correct?
Yeah, over $500,000. And if you factor in the new debt through this ordinance for general capital, and factor out what we were paying off in notes and bond principal, it's a $600,000 reduction. So we're, buying down more debt than we're accruing.
And this was the plan that you had put forward in, like 4 years ago when you had the financial strategy plan.
Yeah.
To start paying, although you have to borrow, if you pay down more than what you borrow and you don't accumulate more debt with it.
Yeah, it's been probably more than 10 years we've been trying to, we're slowly building it up. What we're able to pay down each year.
Good. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gurudo.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Keilish.
Yes.
President Berman.
Yes. So now we'll have our second open public comment portion. If you would like to step forward, please.
I'm
State your
stepping.
name, and I don't have to say no yielding every time.
No, Ann already said it.
Donna Vanderploeg, Vanderploeg. There's so many things to say. Mr. Birmingham, I liked what you wanted to have added into the minutes, but you neglected to say the part that Councilwoman Senator added to it that I found very informative, which makes what you said a little different for the minutes. Mrs. Senator, you mentioned that even though the vendors are going to be charging the same amount of money for the materials or the supplies or whatever, what will be different is the labor. That you're neglecting to put into the minutes. That does make a reason to go out to bid, even if, say we want flooring, and there's 10 vendors that do flooring. I still don't understand why we would not go out to bid, because some of those vendors' prices might be different for what they're going to charge us in labor and other fees. The material, the item is going to be the same. I understand that. But I've been saying this for over a year. I still hate these no bid contracts. I don't think they do any justice to the residents of this town that pay their taxes. Another note, let's go to this, what you said about the schools falling apart. Don't forget, 4th and 5th graders are going to the middle school next year. I'm very upset about that, as I know many parents are. That's a big thing. And when the mayor mentioned that he met with the superintendent and assistant superintendent, and when another gentleman brought up about sometimes you have to cut staff, I have begged, I've gone to a board meeting, and even though the assistant superintendent was sitting right there, I was in the assistant superintendent's office for 3 years. I know what that job entails. When my boss left and I was the secretary, I ran that office all by myself for 9 months. And that's when the assistant superintendent had a lot more duties and responsibilities than they do now. We are closing a second school since 2005.
Third school.
Well, no, well, when I was the assistant superintendent secretary, that was 2004, 5, and 6. And then 7th, I went to HR. So, in 4, 5, 6, our enrollment was high. And we had an assistant superintendent. And for 9 months, I ran that office without a boss. Now, now that we're on our 3rd school being closed, our enrollment is down. And the superintendent still insists that we need to pay $186,000 plus benefits for an assistant superintendent and their secretary. That's the kind of waste that gentleman who spoke earlier, I think Mr. Campus, and that is the kind of waste that is going on in our school district. I would love for this council and administration to put a little more pressure on the school district to do some cutting on the high ups. We're losing teachers, yeah, because they're not getting paid well. We're losing good support staff and specialists because they're being overworked because they're sticking all these kids in one school in all these different grade levels, and yet they're not putting any more of your speech therapists and your psychologists or administrative staff, and they're just working these people to death, and it's just, we really should be a little more involved, because as the council likes to say, most of our tax dollars do go to the school district, and it does. And I might not have any kids in school any longer, but now I have grandchildren, 3 right now currently, and I have the time to really fight. If people thought that I was fighting when my kids are in school, just wait. And then I want to correct something that was said earlier. The social media where it said that we would get a fine because we were late on the revaluation, it said possible, and that is because the chairman, because we spoke to Patricia Marsh today, said that as of right now she doesn't know of a fine, because the chairman is not in this week. So the chairman still could possibly make a decision to put a fine on us. Just want to make that clear. And then Councilman Kalish, I'm sorry, I disagree with you on the fact that you don't think that over 30 days was not a bad time for Mr. Ryan to respond with the letter of asking for an extension, when we got a letter January 16th, and it said it went not just to the tax assessor, mayor, governing body of Jefferson Township, which I think you guys all are a part of. So it was a whole month that you guys waited to talk about it, or couldn't make a decision, or maybe you should just start getting your ducks in a row ahead of time before you get stuck behind the 8 ball. I don't know. I just thought that over a month of waiting to actually try and ask for an extension, and then finding out you're not getting one, and then you know, you gotta play catch up, and then we missed the deadline. So, I just wanna make my point clear on that. And I'm done.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, Mr. Carey.
Hi.
Sure.
So my comment was that we spoke as a council regarding the issue that was in front of us, and Mr. Ryan reacted at that time, after we gave him the approval to to apply for the extension. So from the time frame that you're talking about, from the time frame that I was talking about, is that Mr. Ryan reacted right after the meeting that we had and put in that application. So I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you, but that was my whole point, that I thought Mr. Ryan reacted right away, came back, said we got denied, and we moved forward. So thank you.
I just wanna ask.
Somebody
the
still took 30
administrator,
days.
So, if there's something that's a legal purpose on the agenda that the council has to work for, vote for, Debbie, we can go through you, and try to get answers. But if it's something that's on the agenda, that the council's gonna be appropriating money for, or be on the hook for in some way, shape, or form for the taxpayers, they can contact the attorney and get an affirmative or a negative or whatever directly from him without the township being paid or billed for that, right? That's council action that's on the agenda that's being voted for. I'm talking about going in the future, going forward.
I guess I'm not
If there's
following
something that
where
somebody
what's
has
the
a question, somebody has a question on something that's legal, and they wanna get the answer before the meeting, and they're gonna vote on it. They don't wanna come and start asking questions. They can contact the attorney, well, they're not very often, but to get an answer to that question before the meeting.
We should just be advised in administration that they're reaching out, so we're aware when the billing comes through that it was
No,
part
but
of.
if it's something that is directly related to the meeting, is that gonna be billed? Is that gonna be a charge to the taxpayers? Now I'm asking for extra research. If there's something on the agenda that's dealing with,
He doesn't wanna call you.
no, I said first they call, they will contact you, but they wanna get an affirmative answer. They have a right, he's the township.
Is it under the retainer?
He's under the retainer.
It would be under the retainer, but it depends on what it is. If it's something that's outside the retainer, then obviously, like, when we do the bankruptcies, the in-runs, those are outside the retainer.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, or it's, you know, but typically, like, his
Typical
memos
advice.
and things, his advice, are typically.
Yeah,
under the
if it's
retainer.
somebody that wants something cleared up that they're gonna vote on, and wants to know something before they can get the legal interpretation to the, nothing outside of what's the
Right,
agenda.
I would just notify whether it's administration or the clerk, so we're aware, so when
Oh,
the
yeah,
bill
yeah,
comes
obviously.
through, it's on there.
Yeah, so I don't know if I might have contacted him once, I guess.
Yes.
Never in person.
I was gonna say, if I was the council president, I know I would call Tom Ryan and ask him questions to make sure I was doing things correctly and that I had to inform members, but I guess as, you know, up the four of us, you know, I guess we would.
So go inform the administration or the clerk first. Hopefully maybe you can get an answer directly. If you can't, don't feel afraid that you're gonna contact the attorney if it's on the agenda that the town's gonna get billed for it. Okay, that's clarification. Okay? Very good. Thank you.
Still open.
Mike Kawati, K-A-H-W-A-T-Y. She's got it. You mentioned, Mr. Birmingham, during this meeting that the businesses in Jefferson are not being affected by Route 80.
No, I didn't say that.
You said they were doing good. That was your words.
No, I said that, I don't know what it is. I said that people are willing to come down and do business here in Jefferson, realizing that if they go any further, they're gonna be caught up in they're of course being affected. But like Mr. Schultz said, Councilman Schultz, that the breadfruit basket was jammed. But if that was in the middle of Wharton or Mount Arlington, when the major traffic flows, it would be the complete opposite. So that was something.
I was there on Friday as well,
Okay.
and it was packed, which was nice. But I also go around and I talk to a lot of our businesses in Jefferson, which are all currently hurting. And feel free to go and talk to the different diners, Betsy Ross, Jefferson Diner, and some True Value. All these little businesses that we have in this town, they are being affected because a lot of these transient people stop at our local small businesses. And they are being affected, and they're being affected in a very negative way. And I don't know if, I think Route 80 was deemed a state of emergency, so I don't know if there's any way that we can do something for our community, for our businesses that are really hurting. They got hammered when the bridge was out. Now they're getting hammered because of Route 80. So is there a way that we can go to the state and ask for anything for our businesses, or give them the right to file some kind of a claim where they can get some reimbursement for their loss of business? I mean, these guys are hurting. They've been hurting for years
The
now.
administration that maybe is involved a little bit, obviously in communication with Wharton and other areas that have been applying for stuff through the small business, through the state, economic development.
Assemblywoman Dunn.
Assemblywoman
Yeah,
Dunn
she
and
proposed
Senator
legislation.
Bucco have been working on that.
Yeah, right.
And if I get more information, I will certainly pass that on to.
Right. That's all I'm looking for, is help for our local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
We said that's some kind of last shop small because everybody's hurting. Just give them like a little bit of a reminder as everybody's cranky about waiting in traffic. I mean, it worked
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying, from a business owner's point of view, when during COVID, clearly, half the place was shut down, and there was a lot of towns that just kept saying, shop small, shop small,
We
shop
did,
small,
we
and
did
a lot
a
of
business
people.
spotlight in the business of the week.
I know, but I was just saying, like, as it catches on, then everybody else kind of shares
Yeah.
it, just puts it in their brain, that's all. I try to go out as much as possible.
I'm gonna suggest the answer to this for a second. So, just like when we had with the bridge,
Hey,
I'm sorry,
come up and say who you are.
Tim, Finnegan, Finnegan. So just like we had during the bridge, I've already reached out to the woman who set it up because of the state of emergency for the grants or whatever you wanna call them that were there. We're working on it. We're working on it, just so you know.
I'm sure you guys are, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have
Come on, I gotta eat.
floor open?
Those are police.
Going once, going twice. So now we'll go into the executive session, resolution 25. No. And we will go, into you will be probably making, for the
Adjourned.
discussing business after this, but it's on the agenda.
25-109, resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-12, specifically matters relating to litigation, negotiations, and the attorney-client privilege, specifically COA and the affordable housing calculation.
Need a motion?
So you seem better.
Okay.
You're attacking me.
So we were watching, I know, it's so stressful.
Mrs. Bruto. Mr. Schultz. Mrs. Senator.
Yes.
Vice President Kalin.
Yes.
President Birmingham.